Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Cryptid Chronicles. This is your host, Ryan Edwards, and I want to welcome everyone and say hopefully you guys are having a good day so far. Well, today's episode we're going over, my trip last weekend. Oh, to Jefferson, Texas, to the Texas Bigfoot Research Conference. This is a really big conference here in Texas over, primarily the Sasquatch phenomenon. But even so, it has a litany of other cryptozoological knowledge and cryptozoologists there. At this particular uh, conference we had last weekend, we had several really big names in the field as speakers. We had, of course, Ken Gerhardt, La Blackburn, two good old Texas boys that like going to these conferences. We also had Sabila Irwin. I've met her this weekend. She's a researcher that she lives down here in San Antonio and does research into the Sasquatch phenomenon. She comes at it from more of the paranormal, supernatural end. And then we have Shelly coming to Montana. She was also a speaker at the event. She is a citizen scientist that's been doing research in this for many years now. And she is, honestly, I'll let you guys know, probably one of the bravest people I've ever met. She goes in the field at months at a time and does true field research into the species. Very much akin to a Diane Fossey or a Dr. Jane Goodall. And then, of course, the two main other speakers, I know on the guest list there was Lauren Coleman, but he had to cancel due to just scheduling constraints, things like that. So we had David Wilbanks, which is a researcher from Oklahoma, and Adam Davies. Adam Davies is a really big, well, if you're in the world of cryptozoology, especially international cryptids, you've probably heard of Adam Davies. He's done research all the way from the Morgan Mbembe of the Congo. He's gone to Sumatra looking for the ring deck, and he's done several field research organization things here in the United States. So this episode, I'm pretty much going to be going over the conference and what happened there, and pretty much kind of things what we learned. And because conferences like this is what I love to do and go to, because if you guys are ever interested, I'd say it's always a good event, always a good thing to go to these events. You can talk to experiencers, eyewitnesses, talk to researchers, talk to even people that are just interested in this field. Because there's a lot of people interested in this field that you wouldn't expect to see. Like, for instance, I've seen police officers, I've seen school teachers, I've seen people that work in healthcare, people, regular everyday blue collar workers. You see a little bit of everything at these conferences, and it's just really fun to go to these. So pretty much, I will be going over what happened. In the conference itself is put on by Craig Woolheater. He's a Bigfoot researcher and actual eyewitness from East Texas. He lives in the town of Jefferson. He moved there in recent years. And some people might be questioning, well, why a place called Jefferson, Texas? Jefferson, Texas is located in Marion County, Texas. Marion County is actually the number one county for Sasquatch sightings in the state. So you can kind of say Jefferson's known as the Bigfoot capital of Texas. And it's a really fun place to go to. It's a small town. It's got a little like quaint shops and stores and things like that, restaurants. So it's always a good experience to go up there. I went there last year actually as a vendor, and I went there this time as a vendor as well. And I was able to do a small little lecture, but it's very short. And I was also on the Q&A panel at the Texas Bigfoot Conference. So the pretty much what it goes like. I left there. I got up there Friday night, and I actually met a couple friends of the channel from Texas Front Porch. Tex was up there. Big from Michigan Rob, which is one guy I need to try to get onto the show and talk to him about his encounters. Also, it was Jason McLean and Randy, their main guy that does the background stuff, and Bob of Bob Van Buren of Bob Van Buren's Variety Show. I've also been on his show several times. One time and trying to get on there another time. And these guys and I, we met up Friday night at the conference because mostly vendors like myself, we get there Friday night the night before to set up our tables, set up anything we need to do, and of course that's when you can meet the lecturers, things like that. Another good guy that was up there that I saw that's always good to see is Daniel Allen Jones. He was on this couple episodes ago. Daniel Allen was on. So he's up there and he does mostly the like background stuff, like working on audio, visual, because he's really good at things like that. He works for the Vortex. His Vortex is his podcast slash like almost television show that kind of documents these lecturers. Like for instance, I know a couple weeks ago he put on some videos from the last conference last year. He takes videos of these conferences so people can watch them at a later date. He was up there and we all got to talk to him, and we went. It was a nice event. Afterwards, it was Saturday's actual day of the conference. And let me tell you guys, it was a fun time up there. Josh Turner of Paranormal Round Table, he was actually one of the sponsors for the show and for the conference. And he's been talking to that guy is always a good time. He's one guy I'm trying to get onto the thing as well. He has plenty of experiences. He's done research into this for a long time, and it'll be good to have him on the show. But with it too, it's kind of like a cryptozoological fest, almost a cryptozoological festival, almost. Because of course it's a conference, but there are also a lot of vendors there, which is always good to see. You had, for instance, myself up there. I always do conferences like this because I can sell my book, promo, of course, this show, and of course, just get the word out. It's just a fun little thing to do. Also, talk to eyewitnesses, talk to researchers, things like that. But also, every author that's up there also has a table. Every lecturer we have up there is also an author or sells something. And I was actually able to pick up a few copies of books up there, and I'll show you guys that stuff in a minute. So it was a fun event. Got to talk to a lot of people. There's a lot of people that I was able to actually meet for the first time, and it was a really fun meeting them. One guy I was able to meet was David Wilbanks. David Wilbanks is a Bigfoot researcher from Southeast Oklahoma. Now Oklahoma might be a state that people don't think about when they think of Sasquatch, but Oklahoma has a long history of Sasquatch sightings. In Southeast Oklahoma, it's the Kiamishi Mountains. The Kiamishi Mountains are known for Sasquatch sightings for the past 30, 40 years. Even the Native American groups will talk about large, hairy devils that lived in the mountains. And David Wilbanks is one of the primary researchers from that region. One show, I actually, funny story here. It was Friday night, the night before the conference, and I was in my motel room, just getting ready to go to bed and all that. And then I was like, I was staying at the Executive Inn and Suites, and David Wilbanks actually got my room. They gave him the wrong room, so it's It's like 11 or 12 o'clock at night. I'm in the motel room, and I hear like banging on the door, and I go open the door, and it's a researcher David Wilbanks, and I said, "Hey, sorry, I got this room. They gave me the wrong room. Yours is next door." And so it was like, I think I'm getting robbed or something out in the middle of nowhere, Jefferson, Texas. And then I open door, and I'm like, I think I recognize this guy's voice or his face, something like that. So then he said, "Hey, my name is David Wilbanks." I'm like, I recognize the name. Oh, it was on a little like TV documentary that was called Bigfootville. Bigfootville was a small, I think it was put on by Discovery Channel back in 2002. This was a little like Bigfoot show about all the Bigfoot sightings in Oklahoma, places like Adair and Ada and the Kiamishi Mountains. And David Wilbanks was on that. He was one of the major researchers in there. So I met the guy via him knocking on my door at 12 o'clock on my motel room. So it was kind of a funny little experience there. I'm like, hey, sorry that we got to meet like this, but at least we got to meet. And he was also a speaker at the conference. So it was kind of a funny little story when we saw each other there the next day. I was like, hey, it's good to see you again, but that was just a weird little experience last night. That was just funny. So it's just funny with that little stories like that you'll get at these conferences when you go. It's just funny thing to do. Then Saturday, the actual conference, my table was actually right next to the Texas front porch. Tex, Jason, actually Anita Collier was also there as well, and of course Anita Collier was also on the show before, and she did the Alabama Bigfoot Conference, and she's doing that again this year. I think she said sometime in March or April. So you will have another video and probably maybe try to do a vlog up there. I tried to do a vlog this time of the conference, but I just wasn't able to simply because Wi-Fi was kind of spotty. Of course, my camera has kind of potato quality. Hey guys, I see you guys in the chat. It's good to see you guys. Shannon and Brown Dwarf. Good to see you guys. Always, if you guys are here, always go in the chat, talk to me. Like, it's always good to see you. It's always good to see you. If you guys have questions, anything like that, let me know. It's always good to have little comments in the comment section over here. Awesome. But the actual conference, I was sitting next to Tex, we Texas front porch. It was a good little event. It was us, and then there was a lot of black burners there, Ken, Adam Davies. And of course, Adam Davies, this is the first time me actually meeting the guy. He's been, in case you've been in the cryptozoological field, you probably heard of him. I know him from a couple shows like Monster Quest, for instance. He did, I think, an episode on the Orangutan Deck, an episode on the Aaron, then I think maybe an episode with Jeff Meldrum looking for the Yeti. I believe so. I forget. But this guy's a hoot. He's funny. I watched his lecture. Great guy. He's been doing this for a long time, and you can tell. Because there's a lot of people that say, "Well, I've been in this research for 10 years, something like that," and you can tell they don't. They don't have the experience. But Adam Davies has it, and he's a really big name in this field. And it's great to meet him. It was great to work with him at this conference. And of course, Ken Gerhardt and Lyle Blackburn were there. And those are two other guys I'm really trying to make sure I get on the show here on the Cryptid Chronicles, because they've been doing research into this for a long time as well. Ken Gerhardt, he comes at this from a very particular, like, naturalistic viewpoint. He's very, like, I like to call it old-fashioned cryptozoology. He sees this as primarily a science of animal studies, not paranormal research, and that's something I like myself. I'm someone that I don't really see cryptozoology as a full team research or paranormal research, but it's just animal studies. These are just unknown animals. That's all I see it as. But also, there's another guy we met at the conference that we'll bring up later that maybe doesn't see it like that sometimes. But still a great guy. I love talking to him. He's a good friend. He's a friend of mine now. And of course, Lyle Blackburn was there. Lyle always does this event. Lyle Blackburn is very well known for the Legend of Boggy Creek. The Legend of Boggy Creek, of course, is a movie that came out in the 1970s. It was a little donkey drama about the events that happened up in Falk, Arkansas back in the 1970s and 60s. If anyone here that doesn't know what the Falk Monster is, let me just talk to you guys about that. The Falk Monster it's a name for a Bigfoot that was seen up in Falk, Arkansas, which is about maybe 50 miles north of Texarkana. It's down the swamps, bottomlands, that area. And the Falk Monster was named for this particular Bigfoot seen in the area. People like Bobby Ford, he was an eyewitness, and his family was actually supposedly attacked by this creature at a cabin. Bobby Ford, he heard some noises outside and went out like a good old country boy with a shotgun. Then something came up and attacked him up on his porch. Then later on, a big hairy hand and arm went through a window, trying to attack someone else. So this Ford incident, kind of started off this Falk Monster, what we call flapper sightings. And then soon enough, there were prints being found in a soybean field. There were other sightings of a large-headed creature crossing roads in the area. So this Falk Monster was seen for a long time. And Boggy Creek is one of the local river bottoms by Falk, Arkansas, which actually I think sooner or later leads into the Red River here in Texas. So in the 1970s, they created the Legend of Boggy Creek, which is actually a very much a cult classic and something that really brought a lot of researchers into cryptozoology. There's a lot of people, especially in Texas and Arkansas, when you talk to them, they say, well, the Legend of Boggy Creek is what got me into this field. It's like kind of similar how the Pass and Gimlin film, which actually I'll be bringing that up a little later on in this video. The Passing Inland film also brought in a lot of people into the Bigfoot field because that's what really aired on television and what really brought their attention to it. So Lyle's a great guy. He's always does these conferences and a great guy to talk to. Another person that was up there at this conference was Shelley Covington, Montana. and she's a citizen scientist that does a lot of research into the more behavioral set and anatomy of Sasquatch. She goes out into the field for months at a time and really analyzes animal behavior, analyzes if there's Sasquatch in the area, what might they be doing, like vocalizations, things like that. But she really comes at it from very scientific, skeptical mindset, which is something I really highly respect. And she really analyzes it and like, okay, let me not just say that's Bigfoot, or plenty of people will hear a crack in the woods or a knock or something like that. Will say, well, that's Bigfoot. Things don't work like that. Most likely it wasn't. It was something else, or it could have been just auditory hallucination. Pretty much, a lot of things like that happen. So she showed really respect in the field because, first of all, bravery of going out in the field for months at a time is just astonishing to me. And second, just how she comes at it from a very scientific perspective. That's something I also highly respect. Another woman I was actually able to meet that was a lecturer up there was Sabila Irwin. She also has a channel about, well, sketches of Sasquatch, but she comes at it from kind of a more believes there might be something supernatural, which is actually a perspective I've not talked much here on the channel because primarily that's just not a perspective I believe in or I have my doubts about. But with this type of field and this type of study, I want to look at it from all perspectives, from the scientific and to the supernatural. Because not like one side has all the answers. One side might not have any. We don't know. Because this, of course, there's no experts in this field. There are no Bigfoot experts. There's no cryptid experts. There's people that are researchers like myself, and plenty of people that have a lot more information than I. But we are not experts. We're just researchers into this. So she comes at it from that perspective. And this guy, another author and researcher I was able to meet this weekend, a man named Barton Nunley. Great guy to talk to. He's from Kentucky, and he was up there thanks to Josh Wolf Turner. Josh Turner was one of the conference sponsors, and his Paranormal Round Table group was up there. Great talking to Wolf, and great reading Barton. Barton is a researcher out from Kentucky, and if anyone's heard of the Spotsville monster, it was Barton Nunley and his family that are actually the ones that experienced this event. In 1970s in Spotsville, Kentucky, the Nunley family were was small one small homestead out in the off the highway in the country. When this weird Bigfoot-like creature started attacking the area, started killing off the chickens, things like that, killing local dogs, and would just scare the children. Barton was, I believe, nine at this time, and his family just experienced this. It all even culminated into a neighbor of theirs, a man named War, and the Nunley family actually getting on the roof of their house and shooting at these creatures, because supposedly there are more than one here. But it's very interesting because these animals they saw were not very much akin to the Sasquatch you see in like passing inland film or something like that. To describe it, sorry guys, kind of tired. They describe it more as a wild man almost. The hair was very long on the head and kind of short everywhere else on the body, and that makes me kind of have some weird ideas about this Spotsville monster and the Nunley family's experience with this creature. It was just kind of weird, but we're very common within the analogs of cryptozoology. And Barton does a lot more research into it as well today. And he has a book out called In Humanoids, which is a copy I actually was able to pick up this weekend. In Humanoids and Unknown Real Encounters of Beings That Cannot Exist. This is a very interesting book because a lot of people like to call it a cryptid Bible. But in Barton's own words, none of these creatures are cryptids. Because he talks about what he calls the inhumanoids. And this is very akin to my own research myself on these paracryptids. These are creatures that biologically cannot exist. maybe a little bit too tired for this, but let's get it done. Let's let's do this because I want to make sure I'm bringing out content to you guys, and hopefully you guys enjoy this. These inhumanoids are animals and beings that just cannot exist because they are humanoid in shape, which is peculiar because of course the human-like shape only occurs really in us. We are human and we are very anthropomorphic. So with these ideas of lizard men and dog men and flying humanoids and frog men even, goat men, all these human-like cryptids are seen around the world, and especially here in the United States. And these cryptids, these humanoids, are what Barton Nunley researches. And he believes these creatures are not of, well, biological standpoint. They are not something that evolved here on Earth, which is very much something I can agree with. Because nothing in really evolutionary history suggests an animal becoming humanoid. Like, for instance, the Loveland frog out in Loveland, Ohio. People saw a 2 to 3, I believe, 3 to 5 foot tall frog like humanoid, something more akin to like a witch's beast or something like that. And even one witness described this creature holding a sparkler or a wand like thing that creates sparks. These animals just cannot be physical. Or if they are physical, they cannot be. Oh, I have some. I agree. They cannot be of evolutionary origin because that's like the thing with cryptozoology. Cryptids, we look for unknown species, and these creatures can't be naturally occurring species, like the dogman phenomenon. That creature just simply cannot exist. But this is one thing me and Barton do kind of hit heads with is the Sasquatch phenomenon. He also believes Sasquatch is non-physical and not a is another paranormal creature. That I have my disagreements with him, but that's something me and him can go more in depth with once he's on the show because I'm trying to schedule him to be on here maybe next week or the week after and talk to him about his book, The Inhumanoids, and his actually other research into the LBL. Don't believe we've referenced this on the show before, but the Beast of the LBL. Land Between the Lakes is a national park in Kentucky and Tennessee. Largest inland peninsula in the world. Actually, in the country. And this land between the lakes is known for very peculiar phenomena, like supposed hauntings and even, back in the 1980s, a supposed dogman attack. A local family was, a tourist family was up there camping when supposedly they were attacked by some type of unknown beast. And all four of these people were killed by this creature. So, but did this, we are not sure. Was it, most reports state it was most likely a dogman of some sort. Which brings into question, is this something, a physical creature that was attacking them because it's territorial or hungry of some sort? Or was this like some type of entity or supernatural being that killed them just to kill them? We don't know. But Barton's done a lot of research into this experience, and this is one thing I would love to talk to him on the show more about. Barton Nunley was one guy I was able to talk to up there. Of course, Josh Wolf Turner, the Paranormal Round Table, was up there. Another guy I'm trying to get on the show because he has done research into the Dogman field, Sasquatch, and all that for many years now, and just generalist paranormal research like demonology and ghosts and things like that, even UFOs. So he's another guy I'm trying to get on the show, and it was great talking to him because after the conference, me and some of the other speakers were able to actually hang out and talk, and really those are the experiences I love about these conferences. Talking to the researchers, talking to people that have been doing this for years and years, a lot longer than I. Like, for instance, talking to Adam Davies, he's someone I looked up to when I was a kid and looked up to when I was watching like him on television. And this is a fun thing, folks. At these conferences, there's a usually a Q&A at the end. And we had a small little Q&A at the end, and what had happened is actually Craig Woolheater, the man that puts on this conference, another great guy to talk to, put me on the Q&A panel. So I was actually on the panel with Adam Davies, Ken Gerhard, Bob Blackbird, Shelley Covington Montana, and Sabila Irwin. And of course, the guests, the people that go there for the conference, are able to ask questions. We had some really good questions on Sasquatch acoustics, on can they use infrasound? Are they physical or non physical? Are they some type of unknown ape? Questions like that. And I love asking questions like that. And it was great working with the guys up there as well. So it was a really fun event, good time. Highly recommend it to anyone that wants to go do it. Of course, I try to go up there every year as a vendor, or even sometimes as just a guest. So, Big Texas Bigfoot Conference is a really good event to go to. Meet researchers, and even just go up to Jefferson itself. Jefferson's a really fun little town. It's Bigfoot capital of the world. Bigfoot capital of the world, I like to say, but at least Texas. Which, come on, it's Texas. Great state anyway. And even the conference takes place at the Jefferson Texas Tourist Center. And across the street from there is actually the old Cypress Bayou, which is itself known for Sasquatch sightings and even has a large statue of a Bigfoot out there, which I love to look at and go, hey, but they are recognizing it's just a regular species that lives out of these woods. So it's fun things like that. So, Texas Bigfoot Conference is a great time. I was able to do a small little lecture up there, go on the Q&A panel. Something I'd love to do again one day, hopefully next year. When I when I find out about the dates of it next year, I'll let you guys know. Sorry, and of course up there, that's not the only book I was able to pick up from Barton Unley. I was able to pick up one of Adam Davies' books, Revenge of the Hairy Man, the story of the Port Chatham case. Port Chatham was a small town up in Alaska that was a cannery town that was supposedly pretty much attacked by a local Bigfoot and pretty much abandoned by the local people, which is a very, really interesting case to look into. And that's something I want to talk to Adam Davis more about. Another book I was actually able to pick up there as well was from my friend Rob Blackburn, Texas Bigfoot. This is his most recent book out of like 10 he's written, a lot. And it's only about Bigfoot cases that take place here in Texas. So this is going to be really interesting read. And once I'm done reading it, I'm trying to get him on the show so we can discuss his book. So I think that'd be also a fun time to have. So the conference was fun. I was able to talk. It was a really interesting time. It's something I really highly recommend to other people to do. And pretty much, I do might want to cut this short for you guys. I'm sorry, but just I am feeling a little not the best today. So I just want to talk to you guys today and say, hey, sorry about not coming on last week. It was just because, of course, I was out of town. I wasn't able to really do anything because of conference. I'm thinking about next time I'll probably try to do a vlog or something like that up there so I can bring you guys content. Because I want to make sure you guys are liking the show and bringing it out there, not just having a bunch of dead air. I want to make sure it's really rousing discussions. But here, when it's just me, it's a little hard. It's kind of hard to run a podcast all on your own right here. It's kind of boring after a while, and I don't want to seem like I just lecture you guys. So, but yeah, we'll be cutting it short. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We are growing, maybe at a slow rate, but we are growing. I want to try to get people on here, interesting researchers, things like that, and bring up cases and have eyewitnesses come on. So if people out there know anyone that's experienced any type of weird unknown phenomena, please reach out to me and reach out to the show because we'd love to try to get you on and talk about this amazing world of cryptids out there. So hopefully you guys are enjoying the podcast so far. Thank you. Go like, share, and subscribe, and good night, everyone.